and he's an associate member of the association. These are the guys that are paying for all of this education and all this training. So I just want to remind you guys that most of the time, like when I tell you guys, like when we have the convention and we talk about the money that we spent, you have to realize, man, at the convention we had 55 speakers. What do you think the cost was, John, for all 55 speakers to come in and stay for 3 days in a hotel? $150,000?
Sure.
Did you spend $1,000?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so it's $150,000. You know, nobody equates that. That's all free. It's a benefit to you guys. That's right. It's a benefit to you guys for these guys to come and do this stuff on their own nickel. Many of them your peers. Some of them guys like DJ. Some guys like Russ, Paul. You know, these guys all contribute. Everett. Paul, you haven't done a talk yet, but maybe in the future.
Yeah.
I know you're going to light the crowd up.
Including Charlie.
Anyways, guys, give DJ a big round of applause for DJ.
I apologize I didn't make the social last night. I was up at about 2:45 in the morning and was traveling all day yesterday. So when I hit the pillow at 6 yesterday, I was like, I'm just going to take a nap for about an hour. I wake up at 3 a.m. and I text my girlfriend. She'd blown my phone up. She's like, are you okay? I was like, sorry. I was out. So I hope you guys got some good takeaways yesterday. But by far, this one, it's always funny because in Houston I did this one the second day and like people had trickled out and they missed it because this by far will help you guys sell more than what I taught you yesterday. Yesterday is going to help you increase your closing rate and stay in front of your customers and stuff, but this right here is going to help you sell more often and for a higher dollar because we're going to talk about the psychology behind a sale and the 4 different types of personality styles and what makes them tick. So I hope you guys brought your ink pens and notes. This is completely intellectual towards me. If you guys has anybody here had DISC, Myers-Briggs, colors, animals, any type of personality training? None? Perfect. Ron, yeah. So if you ever get into high-level sales, guys that are just, mopping the floor, big financial institutions, the reason why they're so great is because they understand this stuff. So there's 3 ways to create a win-win in a business. 1, you have to influence a prospect to like you. Common sense, right? The hardest pill to swallow, though, is sometimes people don't like us just because. There's people in the world that don't like DJ Carrol just because. And so instead of getting beat up about that, we have to realize sometimes you guys don't close a sale because the prospect didn't like you. But what I'm going to teach you today is going to help you try to finitely, add little by little.
Share those guys, would you?
Let me share this out to all my followers. So what's going to happen is we're going to explain the POS. So it's not normally what you would think of POS. It's product, offering, or service correctly and namely to their personality style. Okay.
But turn the volume down, please.
So what's going to happen is you're going to be distinctive, and we don't want to trigger any negative past sales experiences. Okay. Let me share this out real quick. Okay, look there. Hi, Mom. Here we go. Share all my followers. And we're good. All right, so these are the 3 ways to create a win-win. Any questions on this? Pretty self-explanatory, right? All right, adjusting personality styles. Write this down. Different prospects and clients require different presentations and closes. The issue that you're having is you guys are selling the exact same way and closing the exact same way to every single prospect that you come in contact with. The issue is there's 4 different personality styles and each one of them needs caressed a different way, basically. So why learn personality selling? Pretty simple. It's going to allow you to work smarter, right? It's kind of like having a roadmap. If you go on a road trip and I say, hey, I'll meet you in San Francisco. You can't use your phone. You can't use GPS. You can't ask anybody for directions. See you when you get there. And then I hand a guy a roadmap that's got it charted out perfectly. Who's going to get there first? Obviously the guy with the roadmap. So personality selling does the same thing. Not understanding personality is going to cost you revenue because obviously your closing rate's not going to be as high. Closing rate's low, not making as much money. Lose clients because of it. This is the thing that I was talking about earlier, is that you pitch based how you want to be pitched to. It's just natural. Like, it's natural to think, well, I'm gonna, have you ever been in a presentation and you're pitching to a homeowner, maybe he's an attorney or something like that, and then all of a sudden the guy's like, yeah, sounds good. And you're like, but I haven't even went over all the details about my soap, my equipment, stuff like, how's this guy saying yes? Well, most people want to keep giving information. We'll talk about the cups of knowledge here in a little bit, but you have to stop because that guy's got enough information to make a buying decision, closing. So there's two different equations that you have to understand. There's selling and there's closing. Once we get someone all the way through the sales funnel and they're ready to close, we got to move into closing them, okay? Most don't know how to build relationships. This took me a long time to understand that in a service business, you're not selling like you sell cars. Right, Ron? You tried to teach me that for a long time.
You finally got it?
Yeah, I finally got it. Most don't know how to build relationships. So the problem is when you're selling, residential is not really the same thing because it's it's like car sales. It's in and out pretty quick. But if you're talking about property managers, the big money deals, it takes some time to cultivate that relationship. And by knowing the personality style, you guys can make that excel a lot faster than most. And then the other thing is most personality programs are just way too analytical. Myers-Briggs and stuff like that. I've tried to go to them. They're 2-day courses, and you're in there with a bunch of nerdy guys that are like psychologists or a lot of it's HR people. So imagine trying to be a sales guy sitting in a room full of HR people and for 2 days, and it's like a day and a half in, I'm going to like scratch my eyeballs out. So I've taken all of the information that I've consumed and really try to break it down. And it all stems out of William Moulton Marston. He's got a journal. It's about this thick. It's impossible to read because it's a scientific journal. So you'll just like finish a chapter and then the dude just goes out somewhere else and starts writing again. But it comes down to these 5 fundamental principles. 1, you can motivate people. Everybody in here believe that, right? You can motivate people. Number 2 is people do things for their reason. So when you have like a person, like sometimes you're like, man, this guy, I can't get him motivated. I'm trying to pay him more. One thing that I learned early on was a fresh, clean polo and some new, hats. You can spend $75 and give a guy a new wardrobe for his work stuff, and he's like a brand new guy now. Because he's motivated differently than you and I would be because we're entrepreneurs, right? We want the paper, right? So that's what we're out here for. Your guys may not necessarily care about that. You bring him some nice new shirts and a clean hat, and he's like, man, I just hit the lottery. So you have to understand that people do things for their own reasons. Over an extension of one's strength becomes a weakness. It's pretty obvious. Here's the 2 primary ones. Number 4, number 5. Write these down. So the way this works is, if I can understand you better than you can understand me, I can control the conversation. But if I can understand you better than you understand yourself, I can control you. We call it Jedi mind tricks, right? So a lot of times when I'm in front of a prospect and once I get them figured out, I'm like, all right, I'm totally sold that this person's a talker. I start manipulating them to do exactly what I want them to do, okay? So this is some high-level stuff, and if you guys have any questions as we're going through it, be sure to shoot your hand up. Any questions on this here? I just took like a 350-page book and broke it down for you in 5 bullet points.
Yes, can you give us an example
of the personality styles?
No, of like controlling, manipulating that situation for someone who's a talker.
Yeah, so like we'll talk about the styles here in a second, but what's going to happen is, again, talking about people are motivated by their own reasons. I think this one here, perfect segue. So there's 4 personality styles: the director, the thinker, the talker, and the feeler. DTTF is an easy way to understand that. So like a director is going to be an egotistical person, right? Like I'm going to compliment them on how big their biceps are.
There you go.
I'm going to tell Ron how great of a show he put on, right? It's to where like a talker like me, I might if I'm trying to influence DJ, I'm gonna say, dude, those guys were lit up in there. They loved your presentation, right? It's because it's how I look to everybody else, the social aspect of it. It's not necessarily how great I did. It was everybody else's opinion of myself. And you have to come to a place of truthism, because some of this stuff is hard to swallow. You want to go, well, that's not me. That's not true. But it really is. It's how we work. And a lot of times it's hard for us to swallow. I was coaching a state farm agency one time. This lady, we're going through the training, and the lady goes, that's my husband. That makes sense. We were talking about directors. She comes in the next morning, and she goes, you know what? I went home. I talked to my husband. She goes, I talked him into doing the dishes last night. He hasn't done the dishes in 3 years. And I was like, good job. It's just, she was like, this stuff's amazing. So directors, thinkers, talkers, feelers, and we're going to talk about each different one here in a second. Your dominant style, a couple of background on this. Your dominant style, you get this whenever you're born, okay? So it's in our DNA. It's how we're made up. There is no like, oh, I'm going to switch this. Now, once you become self-aware, then this is becoming more in the mainstream now, is emotional intelligence, right? You hear about EQ or emotional intelligence. It's a self-awareness of understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are, okay? Because early on, you have to realize in school it wasn't like that, right? It's like, what do you like, little Jimmy? I like math. Great, you should be an engineer. Okay. So little Jimmy goes all through high school and all through college, and he comes out on the back end, he's like, I don't like being an engineer. Because he wasn't self-aware of what it was. It was just like, well, what are you good at? Well, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you actually enjoy it, right? So you have to understand that you revert back to your dominant style when you're either in conflict, when you're stressed, when you're making a buying decision, or when you're excited. Okay? Does that make sense? Everybody got that?
Yeah.
So what's the big one here we're really focused on? Buying decision, exactly. Because if you're going to revert back to it, I just got to figure you out. I got you pegged. Okay, so how do you close down? Mostly, it's what worked the last time. You know, oh, hey, DJ, man, I go through my little presentation. At the end of it, I say, hey, you know, are you ready? I use your schedule close. I just get them on the schedule. That's great, guys, but that doesn't work for everybody. I walk them through a written agenda, which hardly ever happens, and I sometimes ask. A written agenda is huge. If you guys are meeting with property managers, I have an email that I send out, and it's in the Facebook group that we have. I put it in there. It's an agenda that I send to them. So when I'm like, hey, I'll see you next Tuesday, I send them an email with a calendar invite. Lets them know I'll be there Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. And in the email, it says, this is what we'll cover. This is what we need. We need a place to meet. I need site maps. I need to know where there's access to water and if water's there. So I get a lot of background information when I go in, so that I got a lot of those questions already figured out. And the property manager loves it because now she's got a week to give this to her maintenance guy and have all this stuff figured out. It's great. And now, who looks more prepared? Me or Billy Bob that just walked in and said, yeah, you need a quote for pressure washing? Right? And again, I get to sell for a higher ticket item because there's more value there. But at the end of the day, most don't have a methodical approach. So let's talk about this quick glance chart. 18% of people are directors, 14% are thinkers, 28% are talkers, 40% are feelers. I'm going to spend a couple seconds on this slide because look at the primary question, and that's going to help you figure out who you're dealing with. Now, if I'm selling to Ron, Ron's a type A director, so what is it? What is it? What's it going to cost me? What's it going to get done? And he's ready to make a decision. Boom, 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 boom. I don't have a lot of time. Let's go. Now, a talker, who? Who cares? Now, I love, real estate agents, female real estate agents are normally talkers because you have to have that flamboyant. Property managers, female property managers a lot of times are a talker personality. So it's all about who. And I love that because now all I have to do is just boost their ego a little bit and tell them, hey, the residents are going to love you, or the tenants are going to love you, your boss is going to love you. Everybody that drives by the shopping center it's going to be fantastic. It's going to look great. Right? So I get inside their mind and I start motivating them based on what they want to hear, not necessarily, because she could probably care less that I use an 8-gallon a minute pump, right? That's the thing that cracks me up when the guys are like, I got to tell you about this awesome equipment I got. I don't care. Can you get the sidewalks clean? So 14, 28, 40, and 18. So understand that if you're a thinker personality, you're very analytical, how's it work, and you understand the information. If you're selling how you want to be closed, look what you're missing out on. 28, 48. I mean, you're only closing 14% of your deals that you could be closing. Now, you're going to tell me, well, DJ, my close rate's 60%. That's great. But guess what? Out of the ones you're missing, you could be closing a lot more. Does that make sense to you guys? Hopefully. Okay. Any questions? Most is deep stuff. All right, so here's the director. All right? Arms are closed body language. What is it? What's it going to do? What's it going to cost me? All right, they're leaders. That's their strength. Okay, so if you're talking to a head, and this is the cool thing about this. Once you guys get an understanding of this took me about 3.5 years to really get it down to where it's just second nature to me. But once you can get it there, you can start identifying jobs with personality styles. Now, do you think a director is going to be a low guy on a totem pole? No. He's going to be one of the top guys in the company. So you know that if you go to a property management company and you're talking to the regional vice president, probably going to be a director 9 times out of 10. Now, there's that outside chance that he might be a thinker or something like that, but most of the time it's going to be a director. So I can go in with preconceived notions already a step ahead in the game because I know what this guy should be to be in this job. Does that make sense? Okay. Weaknesses, they're impatient, so don't ramble. They're very decisive. Their fear is being hustled because they're the guy that's got it figured out, right? They're the director. So if they get hustled, it makes them look bad. So you have to make sure that you're not, everything's very thought out and planned out. Their needs is what is it? When can you get it done? What's it going to cost me? Movement is options, okay? You guys have never seen me speak before, but I'm huge on tiered pricing, right? Small package, middle level package, big package. And we present tiered pricing to everyone, okay? It's in my coaching business, right? You can do the $27 a month for the online, you can do the $47 a month for the SEU and the online, or you can do $297 a month and I'll coach you independently. There's 3 different packages there. We want to steer people to the middle package because they're the most profitable one. But when you get a director, it's because we want them to decide what they want to buy, okay? So satisfaction's your record. Testimonials are really good with these people. Any questions on the directors? You guys are kind of glazed over. I'm hoping it's not just because it's early and you're not taking anything in. Excuse me. All right, thinker traits. Strength is they're organized. So again, guys, start thinking about clues of what you can look for. If you walk into someone's office and there's papers scattered everywhere, they're probably not going to be a thinker. It's deductive reasoning. So I start figuring out, all right, what can I do to figure out what this... Now, if the guy's all a mess, he's got papers everywhere, he's real scrambled, probably not going to be a thinker, so I exclude him out of that group. And then I start chiseling down and try to figure out which one he is. Weakness is they're perfectionists, this deliberate decision. Their fears, mistakes, and criticism. Need is to justify it logically. So guess what, guys? If they need to justify it logically for them. You know how you do that? I call it the $1 a day sale. You figure out how much it's going to cost per day. And it doesn't matter if it's a house wash or apartments are the greatest. You walk in with a $12,000 apartment bid, you break that down to $1,000 a month, and it's like, look, it's $3 a day. It's a cup of coffee a day to clean your whole entire property. Does that sound that unreasonable? And when you can break it down like that, then if they're a thinker, they're going to go, man, that makes a lot of sense. And guess what? Now I just told them how I want them to go pitch it to their regional. You guys that walk in, it's like, all right, well, here's my bid. We use soft washing methods and chemicals that are safe for your property, and here's some testimonials. You know what happens? They go to the regional manager and like, here's the 3 bids. Let me know who you want me to call and say they got the job for. You have to make sure that you're explaining it to how they want to hear it, because then they'll remember it and they'll regurgitate it to the regional. Yeah, explain it to the personality style. Data and documentation, I call this a data dump. If you know that you have a thinker on your hands, you need to be take every brochure, every business card, MSDs, for your chemicals, and just give them loads of paperwork. Just give them, because they'll get this analysis paralysis. But what happens is they'll never read all this stuff, but they're going to instantly, in their mind, they're going to go, this guy knows what he's talking about. Because guess what? He's got data and documentation. Okay? Satisfaction, specific timetable and clarity. Any questions on the thinker? Start thinking to yourself right now, who are some past customers that you guys have worked with that you can start fitting into these profiles. All right, here's the talker. Talker, he's like, yeah, it's me, real flamboyant, over the top. Their strength is they're very persuasive, okay? Weakness is they're disorganized. And the problem is, if you walked in my office right now, there's papers everywhere. I'm disorganized, and I say I'm disorganized, but I know where everything's at. I can reach into a stack full of papers and pull it right out. It's just they're scattered everywhere.
Controlled chaos.
You controlled chaos, exactly. My office manager comes in and cleans my office up like once a week. And I'll come in and it's on a random Thursday and like, where'd everything go? Well, it's where it's supposed to be. No, it's where you think it's supposed to be. I had it all figured out. They're very spontaneous on a decision. I don't know if you guys follow me on Facebook, my slingshot. I got a Polaris slingshot last year. It was kind of my gift to myself. I just pulled in the driveway one day with it, and my girlfriend looked at me and she's like, what is that? I was like, it's a Polaris slingshot. She goes, why did you buy that? I was like, because it's sweet. It's a 3-wheeler, does 0 to 60 in like 4.8 seconds. I was like, it's awesome. Well, you haven't said anything. Well, I've been looking like over the weekend and stuff. I was looking at them. She goes, oh, weekend? You go spend $30,000 because you researched something for 2 days? Like, that's okay with you. But, she's the feeler personality, so she thought that was way over the top. I thought it was completely methodically thought out. But I think spontaneously. So, there you go. Fear is rejection. So again, guys, fear is a huge motivator of people. And in the full presentation, this is like an 8-hour presentation, but I try to condense it down for you guys. The fear of rejection, use that. So if you get a property manager that's a talker, I'm going to tap into that fear of rejection. I'm going to say, well, have you guys ever quoted this, had this bid out before? No. Okay, so you definitely want to get this done, right? So you don't want to go put in all this work and then, your regional not approve it or anything. Oh, yeah, right? Because subconsciously, she's starting to think she's going to do a bunch of stuff and then just get rejected by the regional. So I'm tapping into that fear. Homeowners, if you're selling house washes, Mrs. Smith, you're going to have the best looking house on the block. Your neighbors are going to be coming up and ask you, did you guys get new vinyl siding? Like, it's going to look fantastic, because now I'm speaking into how it enhances her status. It got cut off a little bit by the picture there. So it's how it enhances her status. And it's like, coming all the way out here and stuff, I want to make sure that, we can get you on the schedule. So how about we go ahead and book you for next Tuesday? That way, we don't have to push it back another week. She said any type of rejection they don't want, okay? So again, guys, I'm going to give you all these slides. I'm going to recommend that you just take 20 minutes every morning and just read through these 4 here and start getting it built in your mind. It's memorizations. Just like when you started learning multiplication, right? You didn't just pick it up like 2 times 2 is 4. Got it. I know how to do multiplication. No, you had to study it over and over and over again. All right, here's the feelers. By far the easiest people to close. And the good thing was, does anybody remember the percentage? There's more of these than there are anything else. Strength is listening. These are the people that are like, okay. And you're like, you got any questions? No. Okay. Talk a little bit more. You got any questions? No. Right? They kind of go with the flow. They're very indecisive, and they want to make decisions together. So their fear is sudden changes. Personal attention, personal assurance, and then regular contact. So tying back into yesterday, guess what? These people love Toma. They love my Toma campaign. Because what happens is they're getting mail pieces and emails. They don't feel like they feel like they got somebody that actually cares. Now, not to say that I don't care. It's just, but if you're only spending $300 with me, I'm not going to be your best friend and call you every week. I let an automated system do that. One of the great things about this is you can be a hardcore closer with this personality style because they're indecisive. Again, offering those 3 different packages. All right, here's your 3 packages. The director, we're going to let them pick. But if I get a feeler in front of me, which you'll be able to identify them here in a second, I'm going to put it down in front of them and I'm going to say, Mr. Smith, Mr. Feeler personality here, what I've presented here is 3 different packages that are going to take care of your exterior homes cleaning. We got a package for $297, $487, and then a $1357. Out of what you shared with me today, I don't really think the top tiered package is what you guys really need, nor do I think the bottom tiered one's the best. So for $487, I think it's going to take care of everything that you need to take care of. So I just need your signature right here and here. We'll get you on the schedule next Thursday. That sound good?
Oh, yeah, threw my hand right
They need that assertiveness to push them, and they're going to go, oh, okay, and they're going to do it. But the problem is when you talk to someone that's indecisive and you go, it's going to be $387. Remember the picture that's looking down to the, and they're gonna go, okay. Let me talk to my husband, right? Mm-hmm. That's that indecisiveness. You guys are enabling them to give you the stall. Okay. Any questions on the feeler? Good. All right. This is another one. Get this chart. It's on my Coach Carrol page. You guys can find me on YouTube. There's a ton of videos on YouTube. Actually, I just uploaded another one last night on 179 tax deductions, but. Hashtag Coach Carrol. If you just look up hashtag Coach Carrol, I'll give you this, but I'm going to give you guys all these slides as well. Print this one out and post it at your desk. That way, as you're talking to someone on the phone, you've got this, like it's a cheat sheet right in front of you. So imagine going and taking that multiplication test and having the multiplication timetable like right on your arm or something. It's the same thing. All right. Any questions so far? Good. Here's how you win on the 4 personality styles. So directors, focus on tasks, be prepared, be organized. Explore results and time constraints. So we're going to make this guy understand that this is a very thought out, we know exactly what we're doing. We're the expert, okay? Because what was their fear? What's the director's fear? Hustle. Exactly. So compliment them on accomplishment one time. Tell him how big his biceps is once, and then don't ever mention it again. You see he's got a little golfing trophy. back in the back corner of his office, like, oh, you golf? Oh, yeah, that was the company golf scramble. We came in first place last year. Oh, wow, that's awesome, right? Because it's just going to buy you stock. Now, it may seem a little corny or cheesy, or you know, it may feel a little uncomfortable, but it's not about you. It's about them, because we need to sell to them the way they want to be sold to. Okay. Let them take the lead. Again, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. Walking the Chihuahua. Let them be out front, but we're the one holding the leash. Bust them eloquently on BS. A lot of times they'll try to BS you, right? They'll be like, well, you know, DJ, I got 2 other quotes and they're both cheaper. That's fantastic, Mr. Smith. Which one of my packages work better for you, though? Is it package A or package B? You know, let him make the option. Just bust them on it and be like, okay, whatever. You're like, a lot of times I've had this happen where, well, you know, I remember last time I got my house washed, it was $127. Where's that guy at? Oh, well, a lot of times they're just making it up. Back everything up with facts, and again, always provide 2 options. I just like the 3 because tier. Is everybody familiar with tier pricing? Do you guys? How many of you are using that right now? Okay, you got a question on tier pricing?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it? I guess it's from what I sound like, you're trying to actually get them to buy the middle one.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So what happens is you make the bottom package. Nobody wants to buy the cheap one, right? Because it's not enough. And what our house wash, our bottom tiered house wash package, soap and water.
Get it wet.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you got green stuff on the side of your house. It's not going to take that off. I'm sorry. You know, you need our middle package, which removes all mold, mildew, and algae, and comes with a 2-year warranty. So then they're like, okay, well, that one just gets excluded because it doesn't. Am I washing your house? Sure, I'm washing your house, but it's just soap and water. It's not going to get the green stuff off. So then that automatically bumps on the top. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, do you need your house washed along with your window cleaning, you know, our 5-point inspection whenever we're finished and we do hand scrubbing on your window cleaning, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I've got a $197 package, I got a $387 package, and I got a $1,400 package. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So they're not going to hire us for the high. And if they do, sweet, pack a lunch because we're making money today, boys. But on the, you know, we want to push them to the middle one because now I'm going to come there and I'm going to wash their home and I get a higher tiered pricing. The other thing that you have to do when you do tiered pricing, a lot of guys do it backwards. Start at the bottom package and they work their way up. What I want to do is I want to start at the top one. A really good book is called Priceless, and it talks about anchoring. So how many of you guys have TJ Maxx? You guys have those around you? TJ Maxx department store. All right, you go in there, everything's got the MSRP on it. Like this shirt was $119 when it was sold in the store. Guess what? It was never sold in the store. Most of those wholesale Nike outlets, Nike produces shoes specifically to be sold in their outlet stores.
Really?
They'll never go to Finish Line. Yeah. So it's the $85 Nike shoes that were MSRP'd at $119. They were never on a shelf anywhere for $119. It's a marketing ploy. So what happens is your mind anchors to a point. So what you can do is you can say, hey, look, we've got a 5-star window cleaning inspection to where we come in, we wash your house, remove all mold, mildew, we do our cleaning, blah, 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 blah. That's $1,400. And you're going to hear them go, they say, but our middle package, which is our most popular, would be $387. We're going to remove any mold, mildew, blah, blah, blah. On the outside chance that your house is just dirty, maybe had it cleaned last year, there's no mold, mildew, or algae, then we can get you into our minimum package, which is $187. Which one of those makes sense for you? The middle one, all day long. And now what's just happened is I bumped, you know, say I would sold that house for $327 normally, I can sell it for $487 now because they're comparing it to $1,400. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the question is like, when the houses are different sizes, do you like do specific tier prices for each house?
Small, medium, and large, basically. Because really, the difference between, if you're downstreaming this stuff, the difference between a 1,800 square foot house and a 2,200 square foot house is what, 7.5 minutes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not that big of a difference. So it's systemized, and it allows us to be able to sell over the phone. Yeah. And so like anything 2,500 square feet and under, 25 to 45, and then 45 and over, we bid in person. Because a lot of times they're going to have a huge driveway, probably going to be in our area, exposed aggregate. I don't know. Do you guys have a lot of exposed aggregate driveways?
No.
No. Okay. That's in Louisville, man. Lake Forest and stuff. All those big houses, they're all exposed aggregate. A lot of times in the HOA, they make it a requirement. All right. Any questions on the winning directors? Good. You guys are an easy audience. There's like no questions or anything. Winning talker strategies: show enthusiasm, but let them set the pace. So we're going to it's called a tactic called mirroring. So I'm going to mirror whatever their pitch, their pace, their articulation is. So if they're speaking at 180 words a minute, I'm going to speak at 180 words a minute. The listenable rate of speech is 140 to 165. Talkers are going to normally be talkers and talk a little faster. Explore their dreams. These are the people, when I talk to a car salesman, I'm like, this is the one that you say, hey, let's go for a test drive. You got any friends that live nearby? Yeah, Sally Joe lives over here around the corner. Let's go by and see her. Let's see what she thinks of the car. Right? Because I want her friends to boost her ego and stuff. So it's the same thing, Do you guys have any awards here, in the home? I do a lot with Christmas lights. We actually, one of our homes won the award last year. Just by saying that's the first time that happened in 5 years. But I was asking, you guys ever have a decorating competition? Now, I don't talk about this again with everybody. It's only when I get in front of a talker, because that's who it matters to. Okay. Tell personal stories. They like this. A lot of times, the way to identify a talker is they try to one up your story. Right. So you'll tell Sally Joe a story, and then she comes back. But yeah, this one time it had this happen to me and this. Right? Oh, that's great. Tell another story, and they try to they're trying to up you one. That's like a huge red flag. Hey, this person's a talker. Involve as many senses as possible. Touch. So, this is a good one if you guys are walking around, with the property manager. I'm always like, yeah, come over here and feel this. Do you guys feel how gritty this is? That's, even though there's not green stuff there, it's still got mold and stuff on it. You can feel that, right? I'm enhancing their senses, so they're not just looking at it. They're feeling, they're just walking around. And then help them make a spontaneous decision. I call it the pizza close. So if you guys have a property manager, that's a talker, and you have a conclusion meeting. So what I do on big jobs is I always set up a discovery meeting to where we figure out what it is, what's their needs and challenges, and I have a conclusion meeting. And if they're a talker, guess what? I'm bringing in 2 pizzas with me. And just so happens I'm going to set that meeting for 11 a.m., right? And when I walk in, it's like, hey, how's it going? I brought some lunch for everybody. And then everybody comes in the office. Now it's in a big hoopla. My billboard business, I tracked down tourism director. She wanted these billboards, $3,000, kept trying over email and text message. She wouldn't do anything. She just wouldn't come to a decision. Oh, DJ, we're still working with the board. I go to a network meeting one time, and I see her in the network meeting. She's talking to 3 other guys. I walk up, and I'm like, hey, how you been? She's like, hey. So, big hug and stuff. She's a socializer, outgoing. I'm like, hey, I never heard back from you on those billboards. Let's just get this thing rolling. There's 3 people standing around, and they all look at her. Well, guess what? Now she's in the spotlight. Yeah. And she goes, yeah, DJ, just send me the invoice. We'll do it. I'm like, I've been trying to track you down for 3 weeks. Won't give me a decision, and all it takes is, busting her out in front of everybody.
Yeah, calling her out.
Yeah. So spontaneous decisions. Any questions on those before we go to talkers? Good. All right, feel the strategies. Talk warmly, informally. You're going to be a little bit slower, methodical, thought out. Explore their needs. You're going to use open-ended question, and we're going to use feel, not think, right? Mr. and Mrs. Smith, how do you feel about having your home clean? What's the reason behind this, Oh, well, we just wanted to get it cleaned up. We're thinking about moving and stuff. Oh, how do you feel that'll help you on your resale value? Obviously, I know the answer to the question, but I want them to get their emotions attached in it. You're gonna really try to make a collaborative decision, and that's why when we were just talking here a second ago, when I touched him on the elbow. Elbow is a great place. You're gonna stand shoulder to shoulder as well with these people. You don't ever want to get the table to disconnect. More than likely, if we were talking, I'd move over here and I'd sit down and we'd talk like this. I'm gonna be side by side because they don't want that disconnection. This feels confrontational to them. When I'm sitting side by side, it's more friendly. Okay. Again, guys, just these small little things. And we're not hitting home runs. These are base hits. And we're just swinging it 2%, 3%, 4%. We're just moving our percentages towards our way a little bit more. And when you add all these up, you just increase your likelihood of making a close by 40%. Collaborative decisions, provide directions. Again, tell them what to do. It's okay to be a hardcore closer with these people because they're indecisive. They don't know. You can push these people, and you guys, the first time you do this, it'll feel very uncomfortable, but then you'll get in your truck and you'll go, wow, that was easy. And then you'll be addicted to it, and you'll want to do it all the time. You're going to hope this person's a feeler, guaranteed assurance, let's sign here. Okay, so, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I give you my personal guarantee. I can reassure you, us being A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You're contacting the right people. We're going to take care of this for you. Let's get you on the schedule. Not, can I put you on the schedule? Let's get you on the schedule. I just need your approval here and here. Okay? All right, thinker. Avoid social talk. Think of Alan Greenspan, right? These are the guys that are very over-the-top, analytical, ask very bulleted questions, very detailed, emphasize on your accuracy and reliability, and understand that these people make decisions deliberately. Okay? These people make their decisions after they've reviewed all of the information and they've got it figured out. You're the expert. You're the person they're going to hire because they've went through everybody else, all the background checks and all of your information. You're the expert. Okay? So how do you get them there? And that's the thing. When I tell you guys to emphasize accuracy and reliability, provide documentation, make deliberate decisions, that's what they need. So make their life easier by giving them all that information. All your contact info, all your marketing material, it's called data dumping. Reassure them that it's mistake and criticism free. Mr. Prospect, I understand that this is a well thought out decision for you. You're a smart guy. But I can reassure you that this is mistake-free. We don't ever have issues. And you know what? I give you my personal assurance that no one is going to criticize you for making this decision. Now, with homeowners, it doesn't matter too much, but a lot of times when you're dealing with a property manager and you get a thinker on your hands, he's worried about making the wrong decision, and everybody else in the company looking back and be like, dude, have you seen our sidewalks? They're Zorro'd up. Who'd you hire? And he's going to be like, because he's the thinker, he's the expert, he's the one supposed to have it figured out. And then lastly, present the worst case scenario. This is an advanced close for thinkers. When you have your thinker in front of you, and you're kind of you're coming to the end of the presentation, you say, Mr. Thinker, let me just ask you one last question. What's your worst case scenario? Say you hired me today. What is your worst case scenario? The guy's going to look at you kind of funny, but what's this guy talking about? He's going to go, well, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, whatever's on his mind, he's going to genuinely tell you what his worst case scenario is. You say, great, thank you for sharing that with me. Let me tell you what my worst case scenario is. And then you tell him whatever it is. My worst case scenario is somebody that doesn't pay on time, somebody that doesn't have clear-cut communication with us so that we don't have the same expectations, and ultimately we're not going to be able to provide